Hi there, folks, and welcome to another super duper episode of Michael's Backyard Marina. We got some things on the Good Enough John boat I want to take a look at. I want to walk you through the process of how I'm going to fix it. And quite frankly, I have never done what I'm about to do before. Honest to goodness truth. But I'm going to rely on my skills and my abilities to keep me from destroying my boat. That's what I'm saying. So let's take a quick look down this John boat. And it's going to be maybe hard to see, maybe easy to see. But if we look down this line, I know there's a lot of stuff going on here, but right there, it's right where this bimini mount is. There is a whammo right here that bows way out for some reason. This is how it was when I got it. And that doesn't make it right. But it's got all the way from the cleat back there all the way up to about right here. There's a nice curvature to the boat, let's say. And it has stressed out a few things. It has, you can see where it put a little bit of pull here. It definitely, you can see where it pulled rivets through right here, and stressed out a little bit. And right here, pulled through, not so much. But then somebody also went ahead and put some bolts through here. And whether it had bolts originally or not, which it may or may not have, it doesn't look like, according to the one that's similar gusset down here, no bolt through here. So I have a feeling what somebody did, they pulled it in as good as they could, probably didn't pull in the right area, and bolted it back down. But so I'm going to do something crazy. Now this is absolutely going to be crazy. I'm going to remove this entire strut. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rivets on each side here, and I'm going to get rid of the 6 on the bottom and remove this whole strut. And then I'm going to try to pull this back in, and I'm going to show you how I'm going to try to attempt to do that. I'm hoping it'll work. I'm hoping once I get that strut out of the way, it weakens the boat enough that I can put it all the way up, and that way I can also, while I've got it off the boat, I can hammer that strut back into shape, get it back into what it's supposed to be, and then we'll see how things line up. And it'll be the first time that I'll be riveting using solid rivets with my rivet gun on the boat. And hopefully we get this thing back in shape, get that whammo out of it. Because right now, from what I can tell, this is where the boat's leaking. There's not much leaking in this boat at all. It's actually pretty tight. But around here, it just stays consistently wet. And then when you take off, all that water just goes to the back of the boat. And so we gotta fix that. And I think it's gonna make a good video to do this for you guys, to show you how I'm gonna do it. And hope to goodness I don't destroy my test boat, because I've got a Mercury to test this weekend. And so I gotta get busy after this. It's gonna be just basic drilling and grinding off some rivet heads, and getting that strut out of there. And then I'm going to show you the apparatus I'm going to use to try to just shove this back over. Should be challenging, that's for sure. First things first, let's see if we can get some rivets out of the way. So I'm going to work on the upper rivets first. I'm going to do my practicing, let's call it above the water line, because if I do that, I can't make the sinking problem any worse. So I got my little cutoff wheel here. I'm going to see if I can just shave the heads off these rivets. They are super soft. Now, punching them out may not be the answer, but I got to give it a try. It is coming out. That worked. The hardest part is seeing where the rivet's at when you... By driving it out, it's creating a little bulge on the outside, but I'll be able to easily take a steel hammer and flatten that bulge back out. So I think we got a technique here that's going to work. Wow, these bolts, I don't know, these are old. They had square heads. They just broke off. I just tried to back them out and they just broke right off. So I'm not sure what kind of barn repair this was, but that's what it was. They used steel. And it just rusted away. Now I may be reusing these holes, but I'll be using some better hardware. But quite frankly, I shouldn't have to. If I actually added a couple more rivets to the situation, that's all it needs. It doesn't need to be bolted here. You only bolt here when you don't have the ability to do what needed to be done here. And I have that ability, I do believe. Time will tell. Stick with me. All right, let me catch you up on what I done did here. Well, because I didn't realize the camera had shut off, so I got the grinding portion of a few of these and punched them out. But then these down here I couldn't grind; they were too close together. So I used just a regular old punch like this, punched in the center of that rivet. Then took my drill and drilled basically the head, what would you consider to be the head of it, kind of what's left like this right here. Got that off of it and then punched it on through. So I got this support brace completely out now. And as you can see here, look how damaged and out of whack that piece is. I don't know if the camera's going to do it justice, but I'm going to massage it with my professional massaging ball peen hammer and get that back into shape. So let's start setting this up to start pulling this dent out of it, and we'll go from there. Now what I've got here is this, it's like 6" by 1.5" piece of tubing that I salvaged off of a job a while ago. Will it fit in there? Come on, baby, get in there. The goal is to put this on this side of the boat, and yeah, that might work. To give something for me to pull against that is stronger than just the other side of the boat. So if I don't do that, I think we'll have a problem. I don't want to, cave this side in. That's kind of nice. The trailer is working in my favor. Nice. I'm going to go ahead and, we'll clamp that right there. Because this big piece of tubing should be way, way stronger than the far side of the boat I'm trying to pull in. So now that I have this, I can pull against this really nice. And I can put some clamps on here. I can do some stuff, I think. Let's hook up some more stuff. That should work. Got some of these straps that go around the axle. You hook your strap to tie stuff down. I think that'll actually work pretty good. We can put my come along right in there. Go ahead and just redirect the old fishing poles, as not to cause any damage to them. I should be able to hook this hook into there. Yep, that'll work. And then on this side, now part of me says, hey, you can just hook that hook on there and pull it in. But I actually want to get something a little wider across here, I think. Just to, let's just give it a little more to pull against, I think. Matter of fact, I'll just try this little dent right here, see what I can do to, see, I'm just going to try to pull like this, and it's just going to try to put that hook through this side. So that's not going to work very well. I'm going to get something to put along here. Let's see what I can find. Yep. Hopefully this is a good vantage point for you. What I've got is a 2x4 right here, kind of the peak of the bend where I want to pull. And I've got my strap here hooked in with this hook. I've got some wood, basically wood clamps holding this to it. Everything I'm going to be doing is going to be pulling this tighter to the boat, and we'd have to, this is basically preventing the flip of the board trying to flip over this negative angle, so to speak. And I've got the same thing on the other side, but it's done with a piece of steel, which is leveraged out even further. So my weak point should be there when I start pulling this in. Now, just for fun, I'm going to hook a tape measure in here before I put a bunch of tension on it. And we're going to get an idea how much we're actually going to be able to move it, maybe. But if I go to outside of here, just for a reference, I'm 71 1/8. You guys write that down for me, 71 1/8. So when I start pulling on this, that's moving real easy. Almost feels like I should move it down some. But we're going to come in and we'll relax it because it will bounce back. There is still a pretty good whammo here that kind of goes whoop. But if I can get the general consensus of the boat to be sort of straight, I'd feel a lot better. Not that it hurts the performance of the boat. The biggest thing I had going on is where this thing ripped through the floor. You know, it was leaking. So what was that, 71 1/8? Yeah, I've got this thing pitched way up here. Now I can see this. And we're at 64 or 68 1/4. So let's go ahead and back this off. That's pretty relaxed. It was 74 1/8, 71 1/8. Now it's moved it about 1/4 inches off. But now that it's relaxed, I want to see what it looks like. Yeah, that came back quite a ways. So it looks like I could really pull it, you know, overdo it, so to speak. But I really want to slide it further back. I want to pull more where this is a stiff spot here where the seat's at. I want to pull it right here, I do believe. So let's set it up to do that. And believe you me, this isn't a fast process when you're doing something like this. You gotta take baby steps. You know, we just gained a 1/4 of an inch. That's a 1/4 inch straighter than it was just a few minutes ago. One more here. So I want to take this and slide her down here a little further so I can get more of a straight pull across there. Yeah, I really want to pull like right where this seat's at to see if I can get that to flex a little bit. That would be pretty cool. In fact, I want to get on the other side of this. Give her a yank right about in that area. I woke up early this morning excited about doing this and started doing it, but at the end of the day, when I'm able to get back on it, I'm just a little tired. It's alright. Be refreshed again in the morning and do some more maybe. So you can really see how it's not really moving this side of the boat in at all. It's giving a little tweak, but not near as what it's doing on the other side. That's for darn sure. Give it a little bit of some stress relief bang-a-ringers here. This is just massaging the aluminum a little bit. See if we can get that to when I relax it, that, you know, that's relaxing it, so when I relieve it, it doesn't go all the way back. That's the goal. Let's see how far back it goes. That's relaxed. We started off at 71 1/8 from this point to the other point. I can see that's already pitched up quite a bit, but I actually got to take that off and bend her back down. That went a full 1.1/8. We're at 70 inches now. You look down that line and see how it looks. Oh yeah, that's way more respectable. That's a way more respectable right there. The nice thing is right now, this was actually up against this post. Now it's an inch away from the post. And then once I put this back in place, brought that right back around. Once I get that in there, get a rivet, get some pressure on here, rivet it all. We can go right back in the existing holes. Once I hammer them out flat, they're going to close in, give me some fresh meat there. Plus I'm going to put a couple of new holes, fresh holes right size down here. I think we'll be all right. That took quite a bit of that whammo out of there. It's easy to see how flexible this side is. Wonder. How much I'll be able to. I think what I'll do is I'll have to come along and pull this point right in tight and then rivet everything so when I release it, it's going to stay up pretty good. So I'll have to take this off and bend your flat back down because you see how much this is pitched up now. It was pretty much straight up down. So it definitely changed the pitch of that by quite a bit. But yeah, we moved it a solid inch. No problem there. That's awesome. But I think there's a little more. Just a little more we can do. I don't want to beat on this for a little while now. All right, look guys and gals, let me catch you up to where we ended up so far. We had taken all the rivets out, taken this piece out. My GoPro overheated, which I'm getting very frustrated over. But I've got a fan coming that I can hang on to here to keep the GoPro cooler so it quits shutting off due to overheating. I like the quality of the GoPro, but my gosh, they need to fix that overheating problem. Something. But I've actually started bucking a few rivets here. I've got, what, 5, 10 back on the side, and I got 6 in the bottom to do yet. But what I did, you can see here, I've got a couple bolts, little number 10 bolts coming through the holes here, and I actually put bolts through everything and held it tight with the bolts to hold it in place. That way it allowed me to, one by one, remove a bolt, put a rivet in, and still got the come along holding it, and this actually doesn't look too bad. I mean, compared to what it did look like, this looks really, really good. And once I get those rivets in place, I can release what little tension I do have on this right now. But so far, so good. I have to have a feeling I might have to have my buddy help me do the bottom one. As you can see, we moved it quite a bit because there used to be a hole here and here through this piece. These holes are now lined up, but those holes are not. So we did move it a whole bolt hole width at least, you know, readjusting and hammering things back in place, because I took this over my anvil and hammered it back flat. So everything's back in pretty decent shape. I'm pretty happy with how it's turning out. I did take my torch here, this guy here, and heated this up a little bit and kind of pounded that down a little bit to get that little wavy-do out. It's pretty darn good now. I think it's going to be much better. And as you can see now, just with the change, it's going to be hard to see the levelness of this, I think. But yeah, maybe you can see it. This is pitched this way quite a bit. So I'll unbolt this, take this off, and then hammer this back flat so it's straight again. Plus I need to trim off this excess anyway. Along here, I'll mark that and cut that off because that comes in contact with that. And don't need that happening, because that just, you know, puts more stress on things when it hits than it needs to. So I'm going to show you how I'm doing these rivets, so you kind of get an idea of what's going on here. Let me see if I can get you in a good camera shot here. So what I have with these 1/4 inch rivets, they're about, I think they're 1/2 inch long is all. They're aluminum rivets, rounded heads, solid rivets, right? Well, in order to get these things to, I've got impact. You can pick these up. This is a Harbor Freight impact, but the spring doesn't quite fit it. That goes around here, but that's okay. I've been making it work. I can still get this up and over like that. Spring kind of holds it in place. You actually use this rivet head. You think you would want to make this other end round by using this, but you do not. You use the, if I quit dropping stuff, you actually use this rounded part here on this part of the head, on the outside of the boat. And I'm going to show you how, because this is going to be on the outside, and I'll be pushing up tight with this. On the inside, I'm just using this heavy piece of, it's just a piece of bronze I've had. And I hold that against the rivet on the inside. And the hammering action from the outside causes this to bounce just enough, and it goes brrr, and settles right in, and you get this nicely formed rivet head that looks like almost identical to the ones that were factory. Only these are just a little bit bigger. The factory ones, I think, were 3/16, and I'm going back in with 1/4 inch because I've taken my drill and, you know, just kind of went boop and lined up the holes and made them just a touch bigger. Then what we're doing, I'm taking some marine grade sealant and putting in each one of these. And I'm just kind of filling the hole up like this. And this is just going to be, I'm going to, you know, play with the principles of hydraulics for a minute. So once I get enough in there that I feel's enough, I'll take the rivet from the outside and push into the hole while holding my finger over this side of the hole. And what that does is that's going to force some of that silicone sealant to go in between the layers I'm trying to rivet together. Now this next part is probably going to be extremely loud, so I'll have to edit the sound down because it is crazy loud. So what I'm doing here on the outside, I'm holding this up tight against the rivet, and then I'm giving it that. And you'll see how long it takes to do it. It actually happens pretty fast. I'm holding this down tight against it. And you can see it already starts to mush. Now those two pieces of metal are pinched together tight with a nice rivet head on this side. That is solid, baby. That's going nowhere. It's like a car with flat tires. It's going nowhere fast. I'm definitely going to have my buddy come over and help me with the bottom ones, just for the simple fact I can't be on the other side of the boat and up here pushing down at the same time. But yeah, that's you wouldn't necessarily need the silicone. The silicone's a nice little sealant in case there is a gap, which there is not when this is done. This is pretty tight, but it also creates a small barrier, very thin, microscopic barrier almost, between the rivet and the boat, aluminum, which could have a reaction. Good chance it won't. If you paint over it, oxygen can't get to it, water can't get to it. It won't have any kind of a reaction. All right, I'm gonna have to move the boat ahead I think, and drag the boat backwards off the trailer a bit in order to clear, you know, have room for my fender here. Well, there it is. It's no longer bowed out anymore. It's got a little whoop-de-whoop, but it's, you know, it's not bad. I'm not unhappy about that at all. We've got this all riveted back in. As you can see, all the rivets are set. All 6 on the bottom, the 5 up each side, are all set back in place with silicone in play there, you know, in between when I did all the riveting. I had to have my buddy come over and help me with the bottom ones. These rivets look terrible. I didn't like how this was turning out at all. I mean, they look bad. Once you shoot them with some, you know, semi-gloss black, you won't even know there's a problem. But at least this thing is back straight. This was actually touching the side of my trailer on this side, and I had 1.5 inches on the other side. Now I've got 2.5 inches total. So we not only, some of the bend wasn't all just spread out. This top part was kind of laid over a little bit like this. And so we kind of brought all that back around. And my mounts for my bimini, I had to, since I brought things back around, my mounts to my bimini were like kicked up. So I'm taking those and straightening them out, and we'll bolt those back on in a little bit. But the rivets on the bottom turned out really good. I think it's going to be solid and not leak on me. But definitely an improvement to the old good enough. I'm scared. It's going to be too good to be called good enough. We keep doing this kind of crap to it. But I'm going to go in and show you some riveting information. And I don't mean riveting from ooh, stay tuned, cliffhanger. No, nothing like that. So those upper rivets that look kind of terrible, and I'll show you some of them on here. I had a couple pieces of aluminum that was kind of representing the thickness of my particular boat. And these are 1/4 inch rivets, or 1/2 inch long, and I was playing around with them, and you see how nasty some of these look. That looks really good, that looks really good, that looks pretty great. But then what I've discovered is that this particular rivet thing was way too small. So it was actually focusing all the energy, you know, on the inside. And so I modified it, so now, where'd it go? These rivets have about a 1 inch or a 1/2 inch radius on that surface there, about a 1/2 inch radius. Now I've got it so that fits it really nice. Whether that's proper or not, I have no idea. Now the other thing I want to get in here and try to show you when you're riveting, well, let me show you this. Let me mount your camera here so I can hold on to some other things. So I had this chunk of brass. I was using also my heavy steel hammer. I used this piece because, you know, it weighs about a couple pounds easy enough, but I could get next to that rib, you know, on the boat. I couldn't get my big hex head shaped hammer up there tight enough, and plus it has a rounded face, where this is more flat on each end. Then that was what I did for the sides, because I could actually hold pressure on the rivet and do like this and make it happen. So I have a buddy come over so I can get the bottom of the ones done. I had this other piece that is super heavy duty, right? And flat, and he could just hold it. And I was pushing up from the bottom so I could push the rivet up so the face of the rivet was flush to the bottom of the boat, right? And then just hit the old rattle tat, and the weight of this and the hammering action just squish that rivet and set that rivet in place. So it worked out really well. So the nice thing about using something like this, you don't need a lot of strength, you know, so if you got somebody holding this, it takes a little bit more strength to hold it and steady it. That I could have my wife or anybody do this, help me do this. So just wanted to share, I thought it was important to share that with you. Let me get you nice and tight here. My goal is to get this up close enough so you can see what it does and how it does it. Now this is extremely loud, so I'm gonna have to squash the noise for you. I was wearing hearing protection when I was doing this. So I'm going to put this side here on the head, on the opposite side from what you're seeing right here. Then I'm going to apply pressure, more pressure to the gun than this. But the gun will do the work. Let's see if I can get it so you can see what's going on here. So we'll just do this. But you can see how easily that starts to mash out. And that's about all you got to do. And that rivet is swelled up in there, it's set, it can't come apart. And because I shaped that to the head, you can see how that was leaving a mark before. Now look how that leaves it nice and smooth. Yeah, these are some of my sad attempts before. So make sure you practice before you start doing this on your boat. It's worth wasting a couple of rivets because they're not being wasted to get a technique and a methodology behind what you're doing there. It takes a little practice. I'm by no means an expert, but what I did too, as you might have saw it there, I think I might have said it. I don't know, that was like 7 hours ago when I did that. Put some silicone, marine grade silicone. You could use Sikaflex, you could use some 3M 5200. Any kind of good quality, long lasting, durable, and most likely expensive sealant's going to be your best friend. But put that in there in the hole, and then what I did is I actually put it in the hole, and then I used my rivet and hold my thumb on the other side of the hole so it actually can have a little bit of hydraulic effect maybe, and possibly push some of that stuff between the layers as well. So when you rivet it all together, there's no chance of that thing sealing, or it also offers there again that little protective layer between different metals. These rivets, I'm not sure what metal they are. They're aluminum. That's aluminum. Maybe two different types of aluminum can react together once you're in maybe special environments like salt water or, you know, just different conditions. Oh, wow. So that was a lot of fun. So next thing we're going to do is throw this boat in the water. We're going to watch that area to see if it gets wet or not. And that'll be coming up right next. So stay tuned. Don't go away just yet. Let's see if this worked. Plus, the rigidity of the boat is back, baby. It's, you know, the way they had those cross bolts drilled in there, actually when I straightened everything back out, you can't even tell those holes are through that beam that goes across the bottom of the boat. Everything came back into place really nice the way I did it. So just a technique. I don't know how you get a boat bent like that. I mean, did somebody put their come-along winch on the side of the boat to pull their truck out of the mud? I mean, how do you do that? I don't know how it happens. It's weird to see a whammo that's outward, you know, like something like me. I don't know what happened to it. You guys leave comments below to what you think might have happened. Maybe you've seen something like that or had an experience that happened to a boat. Share that with the comments. There's a lot of people read the comments down below. All right, let's get out to the water and take a look at how it looks. All right, folks, we got the, whoa. Here's the floor. Now it might look a little wet. That's all from my shoes and tracking. Walking in here, stepping in the boat because I got a Mercury on the back of this thing. And it almost wanted to hook up with the 2-blade. Oh, gotta get back in. We got a 4-blade on it right now. We tried the other 3-blade. The 2-blade I had was spun. All right, folks, we had this boat out on the water for a while. Not a long time because this thing didn't function, but the area we repaired on the boat, no leaks. The only leaks that I detected around there weren't leaks at all. They were where I had to get in the water with my sandals and the water I tracked in. But yeah, that was completely bone dry. So the riveting job worked. The straightening the boat job worked. It's a job well done at this point. The only thing I got left to do is adjust the back pieces. They're a little bit still kicked out. I need to bend them up a little bit more. I think I bent them back too far. I'm gonna bend them back in so that the posts drop in a little bit easier than they do. You can get them in. It's just a little more, a couple degrees will make all the difference in the world. Well, I hope you guys found this video informative and helpful. And if you want to re-rivet your boat or do some repairs or fix leaks or fix leaky rivets. Now, a lot of times you can take these rivets that are leaking on your boat. Now take a Sharpie when you go in the water and just start circling all the ones you see water coming around, right? Then when you're out of the water, you can take and put that rivet gun on the bottom, somebody on the top, and just brr, brr, just reset that rivet, retighten it back up. That may be all it needs. And then go out again and see how many of them leak after that. And then if they leak, some of them leak after that, you might just want to drill them out and replace them all together, put a little more sealant around it. And, you know, that's just, if your boat ain't sinking, if it's just leaking real slow, just mark it, fix it next time. Don't make a special trip in that case. Just like I did here, I didn't make a special trip just to test this out. This is just, did I fix it? Yes and no. If I didn't, I wouldn't get it out of the water. I'd keep doing what I'm doing with this and then come back to that later. So, all right, that's enough. You guys enjoy life. This is Michael. Say if it ain't broke, fix it till it is. And, you know, just work on your project 1 hour a day. 1 hour a day will move your project or any of your projects ahead 365 hours. That's a lot of hours. And you can get a lot done in that amount of time. All right. See you later.